When you thread the maze of information about Bryan Kohberger and the Idaho murders, you can easily get tangled up in speculation. Like, could his criminal justice studies help him get away with murder? The answer lies partly in Pennsylvania. There are detours and dead ends, like the route cops say Kohberger drove the night of the stabbings to look at stars or hide the knife. Of the victims, Xander Kernodle, Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, and Ethan Chapin, it's Ethan who would have graduated this May. Ethan's triplet siblings, also U of I students, will walk without him. To get through it all, Ethan's mom, Stacy, has been clinging to a thread of hope, his smile. Shiro Matsuzawa has her story.
You know, moments ago, you were just showing me photos in your phone of Ethan. What was that like for you?
You know, it's both. It's kind of bittersweet. It's, you know, there's so much, it's always nostalgic to go back and look at the pictures of him. And at the same time, it's always this just harsh reality that he's, you know, honestly no longer with us.
What do you miss most about him?
Oh, hugging him in his blue Patagonia coat. I have said, I think it's one of the things I said from the very beginning. He had this blue Patagonia coat he always wore, and I loved to hug him in it.
What was it like the last time you saw him?
We were at Parents' Weekend. It was the best weekend ever. Jim and I have talked about that a million times. We drove out of Moscow that day, and we were like, you know, we've done a good job here with these kids.
Stacy Chapin spoke with us at her friend's house.
We bring up the things we have to talk about.
2.5 years of public attention since the murders has left her protective of her family's privacy. It's been 1.5 years since her last major interview, and there are some topics that are still too sensitive to talk about, like the night of the murders.
You know, I think a lot of people are wondering just how you and your family are doing, right? I guess, how are you doing day to day right now?
I honestly would say overall, we are doing exceptionally well under the circumstances. It's tough. I mean, I would be lying if I did not tell you that there's moments still, probably maybe every day, every couple of days, where it kind of blindsides you. It takes you down a little bit, and, you know, you just have to have a moment, and, you know, but then you have to pull on your whatever boots, I call my big girl pants, whatever. And I mean, you just have to move forward. You have to.
You just mentioned Maisie and Hunter. I mean, you were telling me off camera, you know, they're getting ready to graduate in May, and their futures, you know, are starting. Kind of talk about how they're doing specifically and what's next for them.
My gosh, they just amaze me, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest, triplets, they could have, like, literally, they could have fallen off and we would be rescuing them, but they have just persevered.
May 10th. Obviously, that's a big day for you.
Yeah.
But you also prepare, you know, that
I don't know if I'm prepared for it. See, you got me on that one. I don't know. It's going to be a tough day. It's a day, honestly, that Jim and I we just have to be parents that day. We have to be parents to Maisie and Hunter. Right. We have to. It's the most important thing. They have achieved this incredible goal. Yeah, there's a silent, tough day coming. Yeah.
So we were talking off camera about the trial. I know in the past, you know, you've said that you wouldn't attend, but now you're kind of reconsidering. Is that correct?
We have been adamant about saying we would not attend, and it's funny, as we get closer to the trial, all I can explain it, like I just feel this impending storm that's coming, and we're reconsidering is what I would say at this point, and you know, as the hearings get closer and more information comes out, and it's just made us rethink. You have to think about the kids who, like in our case, Ethan, who can't be there, obviously. You know, and then you have to think about, well, who's going to be there to represent him? And so we've had to have some really tough conversations about, maybe we need to reconsider this.
There are major logistical challenges. Last year, to get a bigger jury pool, the case was moved from North Idaho to Boise, 300 miles away or more for the victims' families. And the trial is expected to last 3 months. Then there are the emotions.
Talk to me about Bryan Kohberger. When you hear his name,
I can't even say his name. I don't.
is that something that you're also weighing into your consideration? I mean, you'll have to see him.
Yep. Because the thought of that is tough, sitting in that room. Yep.
How do you even prepare for something?
I have no
like that?
idea. I honestly don't know. How do you prepare for that? If anybody has an answer out there who watches this tonight, let me know, because I don't know. I honestly don't know. But trust that I have thought about it from every direction. How do you walk into a courtroom and sit, other than to go in and be desensitized to it, so that you kind of know exactly what you're up against, where he sits, what the judge looks like, what the courtroom looks like. I don't know. I have no idea, honestly.
Are you concerned at all that the fate of what happens to him, though, lies in the hands of these potential jurors?
No, I guess I just really honestly have to say that you just have to trust the system. I worry about a lot of things, trust me. But that isn't one of them. We just genuinely have to trust the system. And we've said that from the beginning. You know, we think the prosecutors have done a great job. Moscow Police Department, great job.
If Kohberger were here right now, would you?
Oh, no, I would not be in this room if Kohberger were here.
Is there something you would like to say to him? Do you have a message?
No. Nope. If he gets sentenced, a state of Idaho has impact statements, and maybe we'll all say something at that point, but I can't really answer that question. I don't know. I don't go there.
Stacy says they haven't spoken much with the families of Madison Mogan or Kaylee Gonzalez, who they didn't really know before the crime. But they stay in touch with Xana Kernodle's family. Xana was Ethan's girlfriend. Stacy also stays busy, keeping her son's memory alive. The Chapins are working with best-selling author James Patterson, who asked if he could write about Ethan and what happened. And there's the foundation.
Ethan may no longer be here, but you've done so much to share his smile with the world. Talk about that.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, we had to figure out how best we were going to honor him. And, you know, we just decided, let's scholarship kids in Ethan's name. I mean, what a great thing to do. We gave our own kids the gift of an education. We have, you know, and what a great thing to then allow other kids to go pursue their dreams and, you know, do whatever they want to do on a scholarship in Ethan's name. The support has been incredible. We have raised and worked hard. We have partnerships with some businesses locally. It's been incredible. We've given, you know, $55,000 out in scholarships already to 35 kids. I mean, what a wonderful way for those kids to be able to go, you know, follow their dreams and pursue their dreams. But we're just fortunate to have had him for 20 years. He was an amazing kid. He was funny and kind. You know, he made sure everybody was included, and, you know, he loved life. He loved life, and he made all of us love life.
Up next, mapping Bryan Kohberger's DNA gave police their big break in the University of Idaho murders. Mapping the route Kohberger allegedly took that night gave them evidence that could convict. Next, we retraced the drive that cops claim was off the grid and over the line. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But the trip Bryan Kohberger allegedly took the night of the murders is full of unexpected twists and turns, just like the case itself. What really happened out there on the back roads and side streets will be fought over at trial. But one thing's for sure, people who know Kohberger say he was never the same afterwards. The probable cause affidavit shows how police used cell phone pings and security camera footage to track the white Hyundai linked to the quadruple murders from Pullman to Moscow and back again. What sticks out is how roundabout the route is, including an unnecessary detour down miles of deserted back roads. If Kohberger really was behind the wheel that night, 2 crime experts agree his state of mind would have been all over the map.
Well, first of all, when he actually makes a decision to go out that night to do it, his heart is racing at probably 120 beats per minute. He's nervous, he's sweaty.
They've crossed a line into a realm that they've only up to that point imagined. A lot of them fantasize about it, but they don't cross the line. But then once they cross the line, it feels like, holy cow, fantasy and reality are merging.
Police say Kohberger's cell phone pinged around 2:45 a.m. near an intersection leading to SR 270, the Pullman-Moscow highway. Then it goes off the grid, turned off, or put in airplane mode, in what investigators say is an attempt to avoid detection. Around 3:25 a.m., security cameras in a Moscow neighborhood capture the white Hyundai on Indian Hills Drive, well past the turn that would have been the direct route to the victim's house. Still, it only takes a few minutes to reach King Road. The affidavit says Moscow police collected numerous security videos when they canvassed the area around the victim's house to see if the suspect or his car was caught on camera. This clip may be one of them, the so-called Linda Road video. It's racked up thousands of views as true crime accounts and chat rooms obsess over it frame by frame. If genuine, then this security camera was recording about 250 feet away from the crime scene. The clip shows a car that appears to be circling the area. Around the same time, police say there were multiple sightings of the suspect's car casing the victim's house. Around 4:04, police say Kohberger does a final pass of the house, then heads up to the apartment complex next door, which has a parking lot overlooking the victim's house. Someone standing there would have an unobstructed view of the bedroom windows and the sliding glass door, believed to be the killer's point of entry. The murders happened sometime between 4:04 and 4:20, when the white Hyundai is again spotted on security camera, leaving the neighborhood at a high rate of speed. After that, there's a 20-minute gap where there's no footage or cell phone data. But police have a pretty good hunch that Kohberger was headed south out of town. When his cell phone turns back on at 4:46 a.m., he's already far down Idaho State Highway 95.
What do you think's going through his mind as he's instead of just going home, he goes for this road trip?
Well, because he's still hyped. He's got to come. He's got to try to. He didn't want anybody to see him real hyped.
What would you feel like if you just massacred 4 people, and maybe you'd thought about it, but you never actually thought you'd go through with it, and then you actually did, and what it's almost like living a nightmare, or maybe it was like a dream that he finally realized, and but just it's a lot to put together. It's not like now they're just dancing around in glee. There's probably, about 50 different emotions going through a person, panic of going through each thing that probably didn't go as planned.
And at that point, Kohberger would also have had a mess on his hands.
He might have been a little bit on autopilot and trying to avoid detection by not going straight home, and then getting rid of stuff. He didn't want to take his bloody stuff home because then it could transfer to something in his apartment, and then even if he got rid of the clothing, they could find the blood there, or the knife. He had to get rid of those things. Maybe he didn't know specifically where he was going to go. He's driving around looking for the right place. If he just threw it in the brush somewhere, there's a chance it could still be found,
Police have not produced the murder weapon, and they found no bloody clothing or any blood at all in Kohberger's car. But the route Kohberger allegedly took down Idaho 95, then over to SR 195 in Washington, is pitch black at night, mostly empty space, fields and woods, crisscrossed by streams. Once you get to SR 195, it's a straight shot up to Pullman. A security camera spots the white Hyundai around 5:25 a.m. on Johnson Road, south of town. Then it's seen again on multiple WSU campus cameras in a line to Kohberger's apartment. He's home by 5:30 a.m. From there, we know Kohberger continued attending lectures and teaching classes as usual through the end of the semester. But people notice he's acting different.
Usually people, once they kill for the first time, there's a level of PTSD that occurs, and a replaying of everything over and over and over again. I know that people mentioned that they saw him afterwards and he seemed totally frazzled. He seemed in just a completely different mood than he was leading up, the agitation leading up to it. It was like it was a different, completely different person.
Up next, when a criminology student turns criminal.
Does it make you 100% better at what you do? Does it make you 100% more successful? Can you still make mistakes?
What did Bryan Kohberger really learn at school? His alma mater is breaking its silence. To go inside the Idaho murders, you have to go outside the state to DeSales University in Pennsylvania, where Bryan Kohberger got his master's in criminology in 2021. But was he studying to catch criminals or become one? DeSales University, in response to our questions, issued new statements. AJ Janavel shares what he learned.
There's another crime scene house connected to Bryan Kohberger, some 2,500 miles away from where the 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. DeSales University showcases the crime scene house on Taylor Drive and its hands-on training for students considering a criminal justice degree. The faculty includes leading experts in the field, and there are internships created specifically for DeSales students at the regional forensic lab, area police departments, and the local coroner's office. So, when you hear Kohberger studied under Dr. Catherine Ramsland at DeSales, who is considered one of the nation's leading authorities on serial killers, and that part of his coursework included a survey asking criminals how they planned their crimes and how it felt to commit them, it might give you a real Dexter moment. Showtime's fictional crime scene expert who doesn't just solve murders, he commits them too.
With Kohberger, it's easy to start asking yourself, did this person really want to be a member of law enforcement? Or was this just the safest and closest way they could get to whatever kind of demons or fantasies that they had been fighting for decades that then eventually came to this?
But that would be a gross misunderstanding of what criminal justice really teaches students, according to crime experts and academics. Mary Ellen O'Toole is both.
So forensic science is based on the natural sciences. So our students study things that include physics and math and chemistry and biology. It's a science degree, and they're trained to use science in their evaluation of crime scenes. Criminal justice is a social science. It's a great degree, but it doesn't require the types of natural sciences that a forensic degree requires.
Dr. O'Toole is a former FBI profiler who now heads up the forensic science program at George Mason University. She says there's absolutely no data that suggests someone with a criminal justice or forensic major is more likely to commit a crime. Instead, the common denominators she finds in her classroom tend to be curiosity and compassion in the face of the unimaginable.
To most of us who have never committed a murder, we don't understand it, and our curiosity causes us to say, what happened? How did that person become so divergent in what they've done and what they decided to do, how they hurt or murdered that person? I got to learn more about that. And so to me, when I talk to my own students and my own experience growing up, my students tell me the same thing. They grew up wanting to know the whys and the hows.
So what did Kohberger learn? We asked DeSales if he would have gotten hands-on training like the kind seen in the crime scene house video. In a statement, the school says no. Kohberger was learning remotely. The Masters of Criminal Justice online graduate program is virtual. On-campus labs or environments are not part of the coursework. The crime scene house isn't a part of the Masters of Criminal Justice program. What about him surveying criminals on Reddit with prompts like, why did you choose that victim before making your move? how did you approach the victim? The school says this kind of behavioral study was standard, and Kohberger wasn't working alone. All students enrolled in the Masters of Criminal Justice program are required to complete a capstone research project that is supervised by faculty. And 2 of Kohberger's professors are listed as co-researchers on the survey. There's no argument that Kohberger was a standout at DeSales. A professor who recommended him for the doctorate program at Washington State University described Kohberger as brilliant and one of my best students ever. But O'Toole says studying criminology doesn't mean you'll be a better criminal than, say, someone who reads up on a murder case in the papers or listens to true crime podcasts.
The learning process is not unusual. It really depends on where people are looking for their information. Now, whether it's classroom training or following someone else that's committing the kinds of crimes that you do, does it make you 100% better at what you do? Does it make you 100% more successful? Can you still make mistakes? You can absolutely still make mistakes because there's a lot of emotion that goes into committing a crime. And when you lose control in a crime scene, then you're more likely to make mistakes and leave evidence. And they don't write about that in a textbook.
Coming next month, inside the Idaho murders, we go inside the mind of Bryan Kohberger.
So you have things like depression, anxiety, depersonalization, tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. And those also come with visual snow.
From visual snow to new claims of autism. Can Kohberger's state of mind impact the case?